Hello friends, welcome to the current affairs analysis for 18th February 2020. Supreme Court has ordered for army reform. Supreme Court has asked the government to change its mindset and to give women equal role in the armed forces. So for the first time the Supreme Court has said that the government should consider granting permanent commission to women and to grant command posts to women in the armed forces. So, what are the two orders given by the Supreme Court? First is that those women officers of the Indian Army who are serving under Short Service Commission should now be also granted permanent commission, irrespective of their tenure of service, and also should be granted for command posts. That means for the leadership positions. So, the government has agreed to it. Of course, it's a Supreme Court order. And the Supreme Court argument, the Supreme Court judgment is based on the interpretation of Article 14, which talks about the right to equality. So Article 14 under Part 3 of the Constitution of India is a fundamental right for right to equality. And according to the Supreme Court of India, both the arguments of the government, the first argument was that the rank and file of the army or the armed forces will have problems with women as commanding officers. So the government had said in an argument that men in army or in armed forces will not be able to take orders from women officers. But this argument was junked by the Supreme Court. And the second argument was biological, because women are biologically less capable than men. This was the argument of the government, but it has also been rejected by the Supreme Court as disturbing. And now, in pursuance of Article 14 of the Constitution of India, women will have to be granted permanent commission and command posts in the armed forces. Our next news is that a few months back, Justice Dilip Bhosle, a judicial member of the Lokpal, had quit from the Lokpal panel. So what is Lokpal? Lokpal is the Anti-Corruption Ombudsman of India. Lokpal and Lokayuktas Act 2013 was passed in the parliament, which enabled an institution of Lokayukta, which is a 9-member body, a Lokpal, which is a 9-member body at the center level, and Lokayuktas, which is a state level body, to hear complaints against public officials for corruption. So these were passed after the campaign led by Mr. Anna Hazare called India Against Corruption in Delhi. So this bill was passed and the institution was established. And Lokpal was established last year with Justice Pinaki Chandra Ghosh as its chairman and 4 judicial members and 4 non-judicial members. So Justice Dilip P. Bhosle, who was a judicial member, wanted to quit, and the reason for that was lack of any office or official work, because as if you know, the Lokpal as an office does not have any physical infrastructure as yet, and it is working from the Ashoka Hotel in Delhi. So it doesn't have any office or official work, and he also expressed reservations about the pace of work in the watchdog body. So these were the two reasons which are disturbing reasons. That means although this body has been created, but it doesn't have any significant powers or any significant functions. And although the Lokpal was appointed in March last year, but its rules are still pending, and without any detailed rules, a Lokpal or an ombudsman cannot function. What it means is that although the government passed the act in 2013, and although it was appointed after a 6-year delay in 2019, but yet it is toothless, and the political lack of political will has not allowed this institution to effectively function. So let us see an MCQ. Which country was the first to establish an institution of ombudsman? So Sweden was the first country which established the institution of ombudsman, and after that many countries followed. The December 16 gang rape convicts are set to be hanged on 3rd of March. So these are the 4 convicts who are scheduled to be hanged on 3rd of March. Earlier also the date has been deferred twice, once in January and another time in February. So these convicts, they are always using the legal loopholes to pass their time. So those 2 legal loopholes, first is the review petition, then second is curative petition, and the third is mercy petition. So review petition and curative petition are filed in the Supreme Court of India, whereas mercy petition is filed with the President of India. So these convicts, although they had been convicted 3 years back, but they did not file review petitions. But now that their death warrant was issued in January, they all started filing review petitions one by one. And after rejection of review petitions, they went to the president for mercy petition. And after mercy petition was rejected, they again went to the Supreme Court for curative petition. And after curative petition was rejected, they again went to the president for mercy petition. So this is how, due to lack of clarity in law, they have been exploiting these loopholes. And according to a rules in the Delhi jail manual, all the convicts who have been awarded punishment of death for a particular case, they have to be hanged on a single date. So they are exhausting their legal remedies one by one so that they can bide their time. So say this first convict files a review petition and a mercy petition with president, whereas the other three do not. So once his petition is rejected, then it comes the number of the second person, because until all of them exhaust all their legal remedies, they cannot be given capital punishment. So this is a worrisome development. It shows the legal loopholes. That's why it is in news. So which landmark case led to the invention of curative petition as the last legal remedy? First of all, let us see what is curative petition. So once a judgment of Supreme Court is pronounced, if there is an error apparent on the face of record, that can be a ground for filing a review of that particular case. That is known as a review petition. But even after review petition, there is a remedy available which is called as curative petition. So curative petition, if a person wants to file curative petition, there can be two grounds for that. First ground is that the convict was not heard. So he was not heard properly. This can be one ground. The second ground is if he is able to prove that the judge was biased. So in this case, all the convicts in this gang rape case have been saying that they were not heard properly. No one is saying that the judge was biased, but everyone is saying that they were not heard properly. But again, these arguments were junked by the Supreme Court benches and they have rejected curative petitions as well. So curative petition is the last ditch remedy in the court of law, even after the review petition gets rejected. And in case of capital punishment, most of the convicts, they go for curative petition because anyway their life is being taken away. So they try to take even the last possible remedy which is available under the law. So this remedy was not available earlier. It has been devised in the Rupa Ashok Hurra case. So this case in the year 2002, Rupa Ashok Hurra versus Ashok Hurra, curative petition was devised. And in this case, the Supreme Court had agreed that even the Supreme Court can make a error, make a mistake while deciding a review petition. So if these two grounds can be proved, that a convict was not heard or that if the judge was biased, there can be a readmission of the same case even after rejection of review petition. However, there is a condition attached to that it has to be certified by a senior advocate of the Supreme Court. Otherwise, each and every case will be subjected to the curative petition and it will waste a lot of time, waste a lot of valuable time of the Honorable Supreme Court of India. And to save such kind of adventures, it has to be attested or it has to be certified by a senior advocate of the Supreme Court. And that advocate will certify it only if he finds that any of these two grounds are reasonably there in the petition. Our last news is that Reserve Bank of India is aligning its accounting year with the financial year of the Government of India. So the Reserve Bank of India's accounting year is from 1st of July to 30th of June next year. This is the accounting year that the Reserve Bank of India follows. And the government follows the financial year from 1st of April to 31st of March. Now the Reserve Banking it has decided that it is going to shift towards this particular year. Now what is the reason for that? First of all, it was recommended by the Bimal Jalan Committee on Economic Capital Framework. So Bimal Jalan Committee, the same committee which recommended that 1.76 lakh crore worth of surplus reserves to be transferred to the Government of India by the RBI, the same committee had also recommended that there should be more transparent presentation of RBI's annual accounts. And due to this mismatch, a lot of problems both the RBI and the government were facing. When in 1935 the RBI was established, Initially, the financial or accounting year was from January to December every year. But in 1940, it was shifted to the July-June period. So now the RBI has decided that the next accounting year will be a 9-month period from July 2020 to March 31, 2021. And after that, the financial years will start from 1st of April. So from next year onwards, the government's financial year and the RBI's accounting year will be the same. Let us see the reasons for the same. Number one reason is RBI would be able to better provide estimates of projected surplus transfers to the government for the financial year for budgeting purposes. So we know that RBI transfers its surplus to the government every financial year, but due to this mismatch, it cannot be exactly aligned with the RBI's accounting year. This was the first reason. Second is better management of transfer of dividend or surplus to the government. Third reason is all the government companies and other institutions also follow the April-March year. So this would be easy. Next reason is the change in fiscal year could reduce the need for interim dividend being paid by RBI. So now, because of this 3 months mismatch, rather it's a 6-month mismatch, the RBI has to transfer interim dividend to the government, and then such payments will then be restricted to extraordinary circumstances. So there will be no need for transferring an interim dividend because of the mismatch of these 3 months. The government needs a particular sum of money from the RBI in a particular financial year, whereas because of different accounting year of the RBI, it is not able to provide that. So RBI has to provision interim dividend for that particular year to be paid to the government. But now that these two financial years will be aligned, it will not be required that RBI transfers any interim dividend to the government, and it will be totally in sync. Then it will obviate any timing considerations that may enter into the selection of open market operations or market stabilization scheme as monetary policy tools. So for example, open market operations in which the RBI purchases and sells government securities in the market, they also have to be aligned with the financial year of the government, because it reduces or increases the money flow in the economy, which is also a fiscal tool and not necessarily a monetary tool. See, after a particular point of time, the monetary and fiscal policies have to make a correlation among themselves. But due to these different years, it was not possible for the monetary policy and the fiscal policy to be synchronized. But now that RBI is shifting its year to the government's financial year, it will be easy to maintain all these accounts. Thank you everyone. This has been the news analysis for 18th of February 2020.